Again, good day, my dear students. Today, I'm going to discuss another competency, which is the inverse of one-to-one functions. So, we have learned that a function can be regarded as taking an input x and processing in some way to produce a single output f of x. But this time, we will find another function that will start with f of x and process it to produce x again. So it's the reverse. That's why we call it inverse function. But before that, let's consider this definition. So it says here that let f be a one-to-one function with domain A and a range B. Then the inverse f is denoted by f inverse. Is a function with a domain B and a range A, defined by f inverse of y is equal to x if and only if f of x is equal to y for any y in B. To illustrate it in a figure, you would notice here that we have this variable x and we take the process, we come up with the function f of x. Okay? So there is a single input. There is a single input and there is a single output. And that makes now a one-to-one because in the condition, we try to emphasize this one before I will proceed, that it says here that it should be a one-to-one function. So obviously, in order for us to have an inverse function, first thing to consider is that it should be one-to-one. Now, we go back to the figure. So we have x, we process it, we come up with f of x. And that f of x again is being processed and it will now be diverted into x. It will be, how do you call that one? Reverse. Okay? So there's a reverse process and that will now go back to x. And what does this mean? So in this case, that when we try to reverse f of x, the function now that has an inverse, which is sabi nga natin, it is one-to-one, will be the domain A will now be the range of the inverse function. And the range of f will now be the domain in the inverse function. So magkabaliktad lang. Okay? So we have here steps in finding the inverse of a function. First, we have to write the function in a form of y equals f of x. The second is we interchange x and y variables. And after that, we solve for y in terms of x. The resulting now is our f inverse of x. Let's take a look on this example. We are going to find the inverse of f of x is equal to 8x plus 5. Following now the procedure, we are going to write in the form of y equals f of x. You take note that your f of x here is simply your y. Here, ito y. Therefore, since the given is f of x is equal to x or 8x plus 5, you change now f of x into y and we come up now with this one, y equals 8x plus 5. Okay? So y equals 8x plus 5. I will try to highlight it again. Y equals 8x plus 5. So first step is satisfied. Second, we are going to interchange x and y variables. You have here the y variables. You change that one into x variable. similar, your x will be changed into y. So writing that one or interchanging these variables now, we come up with 8 equals 8y plus 5. Then, the last step, we have now to solve for y in terms of x. So we have here 8 equals 8y plus 5. A result of interchanging x and y will now be simplified to x minus 5 equals 8y. That is done by what? By subtracting negative 5 to both sides of the equation. That's why we have 8 minus 8 5 equals 8y. Or as practice, most of the practice of students, they just simply transfer positive 5 to the other side of the equation, making now negative. So we come up with that one. After that, in the step 3, you are going to solve for y. So here, we are now going to solve for y. Paano natin ginawa yon? Okay. We divide the equation to 8. Dividing 8, okay, I will try to highlight it. Dividing 8 here, so 8 dito, kabila, divide natin. Ayan, hirap magsulat because I have no marker. So we divide it 1 over 8. Ayan, 1 over 8. Pag dinivide natin ng 1 over 8, magkakancel si 8, leaving now y equals x minus 5 over 8. So we can see now that the inverse of the function f of x is equal to 8x plus 5 is simply your f inverse of x is equal to x minus 5 over 8. Okay? Now, in order for us to check it, suppose our x is equal to 3. You are going to substitute that one in our f of x. And by substituting x equals 3 in that function, we come up now with the value 29. Okay? We come up with the value 29. In the inverse of that function, that 29 is being substituted here. We go back now to the original value of the function, which is now 3. So you would notice here, bumalik lang siya sa dati. Ito yung sinasabi natin kanina that the domain of f is now the range of f inverse. And your range of f is now the domain of your f inverse. So magkabaliktad lang siya. Okay. So that's it. Let's try to consider some of the exercise that we have here. Say we have the first one. We are going to state if the given function are inverses. Okay? So following the steps, you have here the given f of x is equal to x minus 5 over 10. We are now going to show if the inverse, which is now presented as g of x, is equal to 10x plus 5. Ito kaya yung inverse niya? Tingnan natin. Okay, following these steps, sabi nga natin kanina, your f of x will be changed to y. So you have your y is equal to, you have there, yung x natin, okay, will be retained. Pinalitan muna natin yung f of x natin into y. Retain siya, x minus 5. Okay? Over 10. Now, for our next step, we are going to interchange y into x and x into y. So that becomes now, I will try to solve here. Kasi mas maluwang siya ng konti. So your y becomes now your x equal to You have there your x becomes now your y by following procedure number 2 minus 5 over 10. So 10, retain pa rin si 0. Okay. Then, we are going to solve for y. That is the last step. Cross multiplication, that gives now what? 10x. 10x is equal to what? Y minus hindi siya kasya, y minus 5. So that's the continuation, y minus 5. And then after that, we are going to solve for y. So ano mangyayari? If we're going to transfer negative 5 to the other side of the equation, then may iiwan na yung y. Tapos na siya. So y is equal to, you have here 10x. Okay, 10x, you try to imagine that that one is 10x, although it's not that clear enough. So we have there 10x. 5 is being transferred to the left side of the equation. That makes now positive. Okay, so that is now positive 5. It says here that your g of x is the inverse. Yun ang i-check natin. We're going to state it. Tama ba natin inverse niya? Okay, tingnan natin. You have your 10x plus 5, which is similar dito sa 10x plus 5 natin, which is you have y equals 10x plus 5. So in our conclusion, we can say now that this one is simply your inverse. So the function f of x has the inverse g of x. Okay? So that's it for the number 1 problem in exercise number 1. We move to the next. Tingnan natin. Okay, here, exercise number 2. Remember the steps that we have applied. You have f of x is equal to x minus 6. You are to change f of x into y. Okay? Ayan. X minus 6 is retained. Ayan. And then, we interchange y into x. In similar manner, y is interchanged to y. Copy. We have there y minus 6. Just indicate it. And after that, we are going to solve for y in terms of x. So that is simply done by what? By transferring negative 6 into the other side of the equation. That gives us now positive. So you have there now y equals x plus you have 6. So this is now the inverse of the function f of x. You have y is equal to x plus 6. Or we can write that one as f inverse of x. Okay? So we have f inverse of x is equal to y, which is also equal to x plus 6. So that's it. You just follow the steps, and surely you can have now the inverse of the function. For the remaining examples or exercises, I'm now going to leave that to you. So that's for today. Again, thank you for watching this video.